पूछोगे तो बताएगा वो पंछी, ये एक दायरे में सिमटने में और पूरी दुनिया को दायरा बनाने में बस इतना सा फर्क है। इतना कितना है? इतना है या इतना है? जो नापेगा वो जाने कि जहां धरती और आसमान मिलते हैं, नानपुर से दूर, अगर मगर शायद से दूर, वहां भी दोनों में फर्क बस इतना सा है। धरती और सातवें आसमान में फर्क बस इतना सा। ये एक अंतर प्रेरणा, ये हमारी, आपकी, हम सब की अंतर प्रेरणा। एक कदम, एक छलांग, एक बाजी, एक गहरी सांस और एक ललकार खुली हवाओं में कि हाँ, मैं बना हूं उन फिजाओं के लिए, कि हाँ, मैं बना हूं उन ऊंचाइयों के लिए जो ऊंची तो बहुत है पर नामुमकिन भी नहीं, क्योंकि मुमकिन और नामुमकिन में बस इतना सा फर्क है। धूप छांव में फर्क बस इतना सा है। तो बस चलिए फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया के साथ ये फर्क मिटा देते हैं। फ्रेंचाइज इंडिया।
Greetings to all the participants from India and around the world. I am Deepak Yadav, CEO of Francorp, the world's largest franchise consulting firm. Our company has helped renowned brands like McDonald's, Hilton Hotel, KFC, Reliance, and lights of them expand globally through franchising. This webinar is tailored for companies that are considering franchising or are already involved in franchising. Our goal is to share the best practices in franchising so we can make this session as productive as possible. To achieve this, we encourage you to ask as many questions as you can and take advantage of our knowledge, which can be worth million for you as it has been for our existing clients. Let's quickly understand the topic we will cover in this webinar. We will explore when is the right time to enter the franchising stage. Is franchising the ideal strategy for your brand? What it means to be franchise ready, failures in franchising, and pillars of franchising. Remember, franchising is all about creating system that enables others to earn profit. It is my pleasure to introduce our speakers for today, starting with Mr. Gaurav Marya, the man who needs no introduction, the force behind creating disruptive franchise strategy for thousands of brands, entrepreneur, author, advisor, innovator, and franchising guru. I have known Gaurav sir for almost a decade now and have had the fortune of witnessing him help multiple brands from various industries achieve multifold growth. Mr. Marya is often addressed as father of franchising and is credited with growing and nurturing the franchise industry from when it was a concept known to few to now when every small and big business is looking to utilize this to grow their footprints. We also have the fortune of having Ms. Sonia Chaudhary with us today. Ms. Chaudhary is the Managing Director for Franchise India Brands Limited and has been in franchise business for over 2 decades now. She has been instrumental in creating franchise network for countless of brands and is well regarded as one of the greatest franchise expert in the country. Without further delay, I would request Sonia ma'am to take this forward. Also, we are expecting Mr. Marya to join soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Deepak. Friends, a very good evening to all of you. In fact, I'll also take a moment to introduce Deepak. Deepak is the CEO of our company, Francorp, and this initiative of Scale Up, the webinar that you all are today listening to, is an initiative of our company, Francorp, which is not an Indian company, but Franchise India acquired the rights of Francorp about 18 years back. It's an international company based out of America, which has worked with some of the who's who, or I would say names, which is synonymous with franchising. And Deepak has been leading the entire business for the last 18 odd years in the capacity of a CEO, and has worked with some of the most prestigious names, companies in franchising. And along with Deepak, we also have our two other colleagues who have joined us from, again, the Delhi office. I see Ram Krishnan, who's joined from Delhi. And we also have Isha, who's joined us from the Delhi office. So friends, while we introduce you, so how are we going to, put the entire structure for the next 45 minutes? We'll talk about franchising, what is franchising, how big the industry is. We'll talk about the opportunity size and what is the opportunity for companies to get into franchising. Third, we're going to cover, what should and who should, in fact, expand via franchising route and what is the preparedness any individual brand company needs before they get into franchising. And the fourth element is largely how to make a business viable or sustainable, which is extremely important element. And that is where Francorp and our fleet of consultants actually specialize in, which is creation of a business model. And finally, the proposition that Francorp, Franchise India, and Fran Global, which are the three entities under our group, bring to our larger community. And like Deepak said, our intent is to pass on a learning which in fact de-risks the business owners and also their franchisees, and creates a very strong proposition for all the stakeholders who are engaged in the business. And these learnings that we would share with you comes with nearly 27 years of our own validated learning or experience of seeing a lot of businesses failing and a lot of businesses becoming successful. Right. So I'll start with, what franchising is, and I'll also request all of you to make the session interactive. And every time we do this webinar, we also bring in bring in our companies, not only from India, but also from markets like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, where we also have our teams who work in these markets. So, guys, I'll also request all of you, if you can also take out a moment to introduce yourself, what cities, if in India, and if you are from any of the nations outside India, let us know what countries you're from. And if you can share a bit about your businesses, your websites, and the industry that you're in. And that would really be helpful to make this conversation more engaging. And maybe we can also share some relevant examples from the industry that you come from. So I'll start with franchising and I'll take about 15 minutes and I'll then pass on to Deepak. We have a small presentation that we'll run through. And this presentation is about 3 to 4 slide, very, very brief presentation, which is basically a summary of, how we work with companies and what companies need to get into franchising. Now, when I talk about franchising, the first and foremost thing, which is important to understand, that franchising creates a lot of synergies, which are intelligent synergies. And when I say intelligent synergies, because it is bringing the combined power, the combined strength of two strong stakeholders. One is the company, which is a franchisor, who has done that before. He's tried the business and he passes on those systems and processes to a franchisee. And the other strong stakeholder is the franchisee himself, who is in the driving seat. And they both collaborate with each other to make the business model work, be successful, and also sustain for a longer duration. Now, when you look at even a country like India, India is a very large startup capital, globally. Even in a country like India, where so many startups come up, all these startups, in order to expand, also use franchising to scale. So, if to give you some, broader numbers, out of 100 startups that come up in India, 25 of these startups would use franchising in order to scale their business model or to distribute their offering in terms of their services or their products. And franchising indeed is a great way through which companies can scale up a business because it allows a company to expand their operations without having to directly fund its own expansion, right? Because when you're expanding, you need a lot of resources, which includes infrastructure, which requires also a team to take care of day-to-day operations. It also requires your funds to put up, that outlet or a center. But at the same time, it is also largely taken up by companies so that it is able to, eliminate the need to raise excessive capital and more importantly, to bring in control in day-to-day operations. So companies like even Adani's, or I would say Tata's or Reliance, you see a lot of their consumer businesses. All their businesses largely are franchise. Not these companies have any dearth of capital or money, but in order to bring in better control, better economies of scale and efficiency in the business, even these, the top, listed companies or, the top 5 business houses in the country would also, use franchising as a means to expand. And if you look at, what I've explained, franchising is the best form of capital. And I say it is best form of capital because neither you're taking any debt, nor you're taking or raising any kind of fund. Because if you take debt, there's an interest that you pay. If you're giving your equity, you part with, a big percentage of your equity, and especially when you are in the early stage of your business, because at that point in time, there is not much of value or valuation your business can have. So if you sometimes want to raise capital, you end up, giving your equity at a very, very, discounted price. So franchising is a equity-free and a debt-free capital, but at the same time, it is also a very responsible way of raising capital. So we call it franchise capital. The cost of capital in India, I'm sure you all would agree, is very, very high. And that is also perhaps one of the dominant reasons business models don't survive that cost of capital. And all the companies, like I said, irrespective of the industry they come from, irrespective of the capital or the chest that they have in terms of the money they can put, companies from Tata's, Reliance, and even Coke, which is globally the largest franchise company in the world, they all use franchising to expand. Now, before a company decides to franchise its business, it is very crucial to ensure that it has a well-prepared and has a necessary foundation in place. And so if you want to scale, you need to create also capacities to scale, else your business will never be viable. Sometimes it is all great when you look, from what others are doing. But at the same time, when Francorp, our team of consultants and our company works with any particular brand, we also understand what kind of capacities are required. And also over a period of time, these capacities are advised by us to be built. Maybe you need these capacities in a certain timeline and as the business grows, but you don't need those capacities maybe on day one. So we also work with you to create these capacities. So how do we create a consistent, repeatable business model is what franchising is all about. Now, in order to do that, the foundation of the business and the construct of the business model plays a very, very important role. And with that, the most important element becomes sustainability. While we can create a model, we can launch that. Maybe I bring in also a partner who believes in what I'm trying to do, but is that model going to sustain over a period of time or not is something which is the most pertinent and important question. Sustainable business models should also be worked upon from time to time, which means that what is actually viable today in the market may not be relevant tomorrow. So if you look at all the companies, even be it the new age companies or even the traditional companies, which are maybe the companies like Raymond's for that matter, or many other iconic brands that we might think of, these companies have over a period of time even changed their business model and formats. They were different when the COVID had hit. They were different when they were coming to the market. So all that is based on the timing of the business, stage of the business that you are, how the markets are behaving, and more importantly, like I said, is the timing of your business, which is very, very important. The second area which we have huge focus on is unit economics, which are very important in a business of franchising, because if the business has depressed microeconomics, it creates a lot of issues with respect to sustainability. So when I talk about unit economics, there are a lot of parameters, dynamics that we consider, which means, what is the initial investment which is required to put up the center or the outlet or the business for a franchisee, how much or the ideal, efficient sizing for the store, what are the per square feet efficiency, that business should give in. And talking about the per square feet efficiency, every industry, and even in every industry, there are different categories of business. They would have a different, thumb rule of per square feet efficiencies, right? And similarly, what should be your product mix? Which are the products or schools, which are margin drivers? How the stock should rotate? How many times in a year the stock should rotate? What should be your rent to revenue ratio? If you're paying a certain rent, and in every business, this rent to ratio is very different. From 1 to 8, 1 to 20, depending on what industry you are in. These rent to revenue ratios also change. So a lot of emphasis is, done by us in creating these unit economics for our partners. Now, as a company, you all would agree you need different set of capabilities in your entire life cycle of your business, or I would say the overall brand journey. The capability or the go-to market that you need, from 0 to 1 is very, very different. The capability from 1 to 10 is another journey, and the journey which is 100 and beyond is again, very, very different. And based on these stages, companies would take up their business model and grow their brand. So I'll talk a little bit on our company, and this all what I'm saying is, part of our learnings that we have had working with a lot of companies in India, a lot of startups, a lot of unicorns that we have worked with, listed companies, and all the top names I talked about. We have also been instrumental in bringing more than 600 companies in the Indian territory in terms of market entries. And not only that we work with our investor community and brand community, but we also are the master franchisee of about 35 odd companies in India, which are largely international brands in education, service, retail, and sports segment. So all that we pass on to you is an experience of a franchisee ourselves or a brand ourselves, and equally we also understand what the investor pain points are, and we bring all our learnings together to make a sustainable business model. Now, coming to who we are as a company. So, like I said, there are three entities, which is Franchise India is the entity that we use in India, and our consulting arm is Francorp. Francorp works with companies to make them franchise ready. And we also have a company which is Fran Global, which is present in about 11 countries globally. We have offices in Nepal, we have offices in Bangladesh, we are there in UK, we're there in Canada, we're there in Australia, we are there in Mongolia, we're there in Singapore, we're there in Malaysia. So about 11 countries is where our presence currently is in. And all our entities or all our businesses that we do outside India, all these businesses are under the umbrella of Fran Global. Now, if we look at how a company also has been structured at the group level, we are a completely integrated franchise solution company, and I'm also happy to share with you not only in India but Franchise India, Fran Global. We are the largest franchise development and distribution company in the world, and over the years, this has not come easy. Over the years, we have worked very hard, invested a lot of our time, learning, and money, to create that value proposition equity for all our brands. And we did that so that we're able to create that capacity and to add value to the franchise community that we serve. So they are largely four different platforms of our company. Francorp is a consulting arm. I talked about it, and which is basically a scale. The webinar that you see, that is what we help companies do. We help companies to scale. So how we do it is by creating their business models, working with them, what is viable, creating a value proposition, and eventually, launching them in the market through the distribution that we have in 97 cities in India. We are a 1,500 people company. Almost every city that you come from, either India or internationally, you would have a local teams who are there to also guide you and meet with you. And our group companies address the entire need through solutions from all our specialized businesses and entities, which give a very holistic solution to companies who look at growing and eventually scaling. So scale, which we do through Francorp. Second is our investment arm, where we work with a big community of business buyers. And I would say these are business buyers who are also franchisees who are looking to invest in business opportunities, from a small investment to a mid-size investment to even larger investments. We work with retail investors. I work with also firms who want to bring international brands to the Indian market. We work with HNIs who want to take either an area franchisee or master franchisee of some Indian or global companies. And third is our exit platform, where apart from doing or selecting partners for companies and helping people invest businesses in different industries. When I say different industries, it is across all industries which are consumption centric, from food to retail to F&B to healthcare to education. Anything and everything, I'm sure you all would agree today, we are consuming. All these businesses come from franchise businesses. Our environments are becoming branded today. And third platform is exit platform, where we also work with entities and business owners. If they want to exit from their businesses, we value their businesses. We find them either a strategic partner or we find them a financial partner. So this is broadly, how our overall business is in fact structured. Now, our proposition for scale up is because we understand that building a successful company is not just about growth; it is about scale. Right? So, and sometimes people use these words, they swap these words and they use that interchangeably, but that is not the case. You need different capacities at the growth level. You need different capacities to scale. And franchising is the most successful, scale strategy which companies globally have adopted. So I let now Deepak, if we run through a small presentation, on franchising, and if you want to add anything on the industry at large, you could do that. I can also add on to that. So friends, we'll put a small presentation, and like I said, I'll request if you can also share a bit about yourself. I see some of you have also written in. We'll go through the comments that you have made. Welcome, Krishna Shaji. You're from Bombay. You're working in the marketing communication for the last 20 odd years. Wonderful. Okay, and I see how to connect further as we're in the process of setting up a franchisee. All right, Amrinder Singh ji, welcome to this webinar. In fact, Deepak, who's the CEO of Francorp, he'll be happy to connect with you. I don't know what city are we talking about? But we'd like to understand your business, at what stage we are, and what all has been done. And we'll rather get into one-to-one discussion post the webinar and take this conversation further. Deepak, over to you. Okay, great. You're in Noida. We are there in very close to you. Our head office, in fact, I sit out of our office on Surajkund Road, which is the same complex as Taj Vivanta, and so does Deepak, Ram, and Isha. So we're all sitting out of the head office. But for all our friends, we have offices across India, from Bombay, Hyderabad, Bangladesh, Nepal. Anywhere you want to get in touch with us, please let us know. Sorry, Deepak, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonia ma'am, for the brief. So quickly, guys, we'll run you through this presentation, which will talk about various systems and processes which you should have before you enter into franchising, what all is required to become franchise ready, and most importantly, pillars of franchising. So yeah, Ram, next slide, please. Okay, why franchise need analysis? This is out of our experience, which we've done, is to really understand, is franchising for you? So franchising is not for everyone, and when is the right time for franchise? So these are 6-7 pointers which, out of our understanding and our market intelligence, we've understood that when companies should look at franchising. The first is when your product or services has greater demand in the market, which is not currently serviced by your brand. We've seen a lot of instances where companies have been doing very well businesses in one particular cluster and are not able to replicate into different geographical locations. That's where franchising becomes really helpful. It not only helps you in raising capital, but it also helps you in penetrating into regions where you feel that as a product or as a service company, there's a huge demand for you in different markets. Because sometimes if you are trying to do your company owned stores, there is a lot of investment which is required, and also a lot of local intelligence which is required. Actually, franchising addresses both. You can take the advantage of a local talent, as well as it will also help you in raising the capital. Second is that your immediate competition has taken the lead and you have a better or an equal product. This, we've been hearing this from a lot of clients which we meet, and we hear this from a lot of clients that they say that we have a better product or service as compared to their competition, but their competition actually has scaled more than them. And it happens. And sometimes people think that franchising might just be compromising about their services or their product. But honestly, if you do franchising in a structured and a professional way, you would de-risk your entire expansion plan. As Sonia ma'am also told you, that if you have to de-risk your growth, you will have to have a very strong franchise model. And that strong franchise model comes with a lot of data points and market intelligence, which as a company we have. We understand the domestic markets, we understand the international markets, and we can exactly tell you what should be the right path for you to expand, and what is the unit economics which would be focused more on sustainability of your franchise. Then you clearly see the growth, but lack capital. Most of the people would enter into franchising to raise capital. And actually, franchising helps you in raising capital, but this is also a responsible capital. We've seen a lot of companies who enter into franchising without any structured business model. They don't even understand whom to give a franchise, whom not to give a franchise. There is no prerequisites to understand that he's the right franchise partner, what kind of support needs to be given to these franchise partners. While there is a great attraction in their product and services, so they end up making franchise, but trust me, they don't sustain. So again, it's a responsible capital, and you need to ensure that this capital is been leveraged both for you as well as your franchise partner. Because if the franchise partner would grow, and only then as a company you would grow, and only then there is a meaningful business which can come in. Fourth point is operationally your business demands deeper penetration, which a good operator can bring than your company employee or suffering from shrinkage and attrition at the business. So typically franchising, as I was telling you, franchising also helps you in utilizing the local talent. So sometimes, let's say there is a business which is there in North, and you have a greater demand in, let's say, South, and it is difficult for you to replicate your business in the South market. Maybe, the language barrier is there, or maybe you don't understand the local environment. That's where franchising becomes very useful for you, where you can utilize this local talent and maximize your business. Irrespective, you might be able to try to put in your employees, but still there is a challenge that your business might still suffer from shrinkage, and there might be a lot of attrition which might happen. So operationally, your business can become very strong if you look at franchising. I will give you one example. We were working with a company called Mahindra, and initially they had this brand called Mom and Me. And we went to them and we told them that, why don't you franchise? And they said that, why should we franchise? We have money, we have everything in place. There is no need for us to, franchise. And when we understood from them, we understood that they had at that time, about 20-25 stores. And I think our chairman, Mr. Gaurav Marya, asked them that how many out of these 25 are profitable. And then they said that about 20 odd stores are profitable, 5 are not. But obviously, with the overall economics, we are profitable. And he answered that, what if all these 25 stores are profitable? And that's where the conversation picked up, and they wanted to, look at evaluating franchising. Actually, franchising brings store to store efficiency, and every store is profitable because there's every individual who's putting in an investment, and he ensures that he puts in 100% of his efforts to make sure that store is profitable. So after some time, there was a news that Mahindra closed about 20 stores. Actually, they closed their company-owned stores, and then from there, today the journey is they have all complete 100% franchise stores. Now they were Baby OA, then now First Cry and all of that. So that's where, operationally franchising makes the business very strong. Then you have an innovative or a first mover advantage, which you don't want to lose. This is very interesting. And I think India is going through that phase where we are seeing a lot of business owners have innovative ideas which they are bringing in. And there is a lot of acceptability which is happening. Today, promoting any business or service is becoming easy through digital platform. You can, capture markets in India, outside India also. And honestly, we've seen some businesses which have been very innovative. And if they take first mover advantage, they can really have a large market pie. So again, if you have something like this, franchising can really be interesting for you because people will buy into your innovative ideas. If it is working for you, it will definitely work for them. You have to just build in conviction in your franchise business model. Fourth and the final is that your product or service needs distribution and economies of scale. Obviously, franchising, if you want to reach to the length and the breadth of this country, definitely franchising would help you in achieving this. Anything you want to add, Sonia ma'am, in this? Next slide, please.
Sorry, it's a good.
Sure. Then these are 18 points checklist to check if you are ready to franchise. Take a test. So we have this 18-point checklist to understand whether your business is franchisable or not. So first is brand preference and engagement. Under this, there are 3 things. One is the credibility, positive PR, and award and recognition. This is one thing which people would buy into. This is all about building, I would say, trust within your brand in the investor community or a franchise community. So how much you as a brand, you are credible. What is your positive PR in social media? People would look and research about these things. Are there any kinds of award and recognitions which you have received as a brand? Second is proven business systems and processes. In this, there are 3 important elements. One is the prototype. Second is the SOPs and manuals. And third is the strong vendor relationship. If we talk about the prototype, we really want to understand that, as I was saying, let's say you have an innovative business or a business which you feel has done good for you. That prototype has to be replicated. Sorry, I think we'll just wait for Ram to, I think the PPT just got disconnected.
And friends, I'll request if you have any questions in the meantime, please put your questions. We'll be happy to, answer any questions. And I see a lot of you who've not yet put in, their business. Please share that in the chat box. We like to know as much you've told about yourself, a little bit also about you. And also just to add on the industry of franchising, I would say it's a very big impact market. And I say that because it is touching all that we're consuming every day in our life. And franchising cuts across every industry. Right. So, and we've also seen successful companies across all segments and sectors. Globally, in system sales, this industry is almost about $4.8 billion, and which is even higher or bigger than the economy of India, GDP of our country. And India, given the strong fundamentals of consumption that we have, this business of franchising or the industry of franchising, which is already second largest after America, will grow almost 10x in the next 10 odd years, which is also increasing at about 30%, every year. And India, like I said, being the second largest market in the world after America, and a lot of this growth has been attributed to first-time business buyers or professionals. There was a time, I remember 27 years back when we started our business, very few first-time entrepreneurs or first-generation entrepreneurs would come and take up businesses. That number used to be very, very small. You know, from 5 to 10% back then. Today, this number is as big as 60%, which means out of 100 people who buy business, 60% of these people are first-time business buyers or investing in different business opportunities. Great. We can have your presentations back.
Yeah, thank you, Ram. So proven business and systems and processes. So we were talking about the prototype. So you need to have a prototype which makes sense for a potential franchise buyers. And this has been evaluated on 3 parameters. First is that the whole business model should be sellable. Very, very important. When we are trying to build a franchise business model, we need to ensure that the whole opportunity is sellable. Second element in this is that the whole opportunity should be profitable, which means it should make financial sense for anyone who's investing with you. And third, which is the most important pillar in this, is that the whole opportunity should be sustainable, where our focus is maximum. Because if your opportunity is not sustainable, it will not turn your business into a meaningful business. So when we are trying to build up a franchise business model, these are 3 aspects where we work with you. Then SOPs and manuals. There are 3 types of SOPs which we build. First is the pre-opening manual. What we mean by pre-opening manual is, let's say if there is an interest which has come to you, what are the teams which have to be engaged with them from the day you get the check, from the day the store is getting opening. Then there is an operational manual which is required, which will define the complete processes for the franchise. How many people, what kind of staff they need to, what are their responsibilities, everything in the operational manual. Then finally, your HR manuals, which will talk about, let's say there is a local hiring which needs to be done. So what kind of talent they need to acquire, what are their job responsibilities. So complete HR manual will be designed. And then finally, your training manual, what kind of training needs to be given. Final is a strong vendor relationship. If you are a product business, you need to build a very strong vendor relationships. And trust me, if you don't have a strong vendor relationships, again, there are a lot of chances that your franchisees might not survive. And then there might be a lot of shrinkages which you would see in your system. Third is, which is financial performance and margins. In this, we need to understand the return on investment and past performance, affordability for the franchisees and the margins, and capitalization. So ROI, which is a return on investment and past performance. A lot of franchise partners who are, when they're trying to evaluate your opportunity, I've heard from a lot of people that, ROI is something which a lot of companies or a lot of franchise buyers are looking into. But the truth is that out of our experience, we've understood that the ROI is directly proportionate to higher the risk, higher the return, lower the risk, lower the return. That's how, the ROI is being given in any business. If the potential franchise partner is ready to put in or ready to take a higher risk, then as a business, you can give them a higher return. If as a potential franchise buyer, if he's not ready to put in a higher risk, the margins level would also be lower. I will give you an example. Like there is a company, company called Manevar. The franchise model for them, they largely have 2 franchise model. One, which is in which they say to a potential franchise buyer that the potential franchise buyer needs to invest in the capex, which means only in building the franchise store. Inventory is being kept by the company and it is being rotated by the company, where the franchise partner does not need to participate in the inventory. They just need to give the security deposit. In that particular case, the Manevar gives a lesser margin, which is almost about 18% to the potential franchise partner. The second model which they have is where the potential franchise partner needs to invest in the capex and also needs to invest in the inventory. In that case, the margins from 18% goes to almost about 25%. So this is what we're trying to say, that higher the risk, higher the margin, lower the risk, lower the margin. So typically in your return on investment, you need to ensure that when any potential franchise partner is trying to evaluate your franchise opportunity, you need to also evaluate that, what kind of investment he needs to put in and how you can help him in de-risking or hedging his risk. Second is affordability for the franchisees and margins. We've also seen that a lot of people try to, charge a heavy franchise fee or try to make money on the first go. If your franchise opportunity or your franchise offering does not allow the easy entry for any potential franchise buyer, it will be very difficult for you to multiply faster. See, financials are extremely important, but in the case of financials, you have to also understand and evaluate this, that financials, if the entry barrier for any potential franchise is higher, it will be difficult for the investors to invest in your business. So how can you make the financial opportunity lucrative and financially attractive for them? So affordability of the franchise should be very important. Then the margins, some businesses have higher margins, some businesses have less margins. So again, you will have to see that if your margins levels are very thin, then obviously it's a volume game. Then you will have to see that how you can make your financials attractive, and also then you have to be very selective on locations where your business can sustain. And then capitalization, which is again very important. Then management and leadership. We've closely seen this, that today the trend of the franchise buying has changed. Today, potential franchise buyers are now researching a lot about the founders. Who are the founders who are behind the company? Because today the expansion of the company depends on their thought process. So people do a lot of research on founders, and that's why we advise a lot of companies that companies who are looking at franchising their business, founders should come in the front face. Their social media appearance should be strong so that they can attract a lot of franchise buyers. Similarly, with their key management teams and their experiences, what kind of investors are backing them, what kind of team members they have, what kind of credibility they bring in. This has all been looked up by a potential franchise buyers, and their organization design. So these are very important. And I would say out of 100, 15% weightage goes on the management and leadership team. Competition and market trend. This is again no brainer, very important. Competition, overcrowded or market gaps, industry trends, and future demand. As a company, you need to be aware about what is the competition which is there. Is your competition franchising, not franchising? What markets they are franchising? What model they are doing? What kind of attraction they are building in their franchise business model? What kind of future plans they have? You have to be updated. And we understand industries. We can give you a lot of market intelligence, not only in India but outside India also, and tell you what trends are going to happen in next 5 years. Like EV blasted, but we were telling this already, that there is a huge encashment which you would see in EV. Suddenly, direct to home businesses are picking up. We were telling this. We did a white paper where we told that these businesses are going to pick up in next 5 years. So we can tell you the industry trends. Finally, product and services, innovation and R&D, differentiation, offering, pricing and experience, and change cycle. As a company, you need to innovate. Continuous innovation is required. So, and this is now becoming a trend. People are now innovating. A lot of changes are coming in, which brings in a differentiating factor when compared to your competition. And also understanding the consumer. If you're a product company or a service company, you really need to benchmark your product or services to some international companies and see what changes are being bring in and how you can make this better. Next, please. So now we'll talk about pillars of franchising. There are largely we've divided into 4 baskets. So which is PAS, AIR, CCC, and ERR. These are pillars of franchising. You need to, this we feel if most of this goes right, your franchise would sustain and you would have a very strong franchise offering. So first, which is PAS, which is predictability, accountability, standardization, and scalability. Predictability, what we mean by predictability, it means financial performance that can be measured. So when you're trying to sell your franchise financials there should be a predictability which a potential franchise buyer can measure your financials. It's not that randomly any forecast is been given. There has to be way to measure your financial performance, and we as a company can give you that to ensure that your financial performance can be measured. Accountability, obligations for the stakeholders. This is very important. Sometimes we have seen that the job responsibility of the potential franchise partners are not listed out. So potential franchise partners just feel that maybe I've taken their franchise and I will make a lot of money. And there's a lot of gap. And so for this, you need to ensure that the obligation for the stakeholders are clearly mentioned and listed to the potential franchise partner. And also there is enough training which has been given to him so that he can perform his task. Standardization. Every process can be defined and can deliver uniform consumer experience. If your business is lacking on standardization, trust me, today or tomorrow, you will face a lot of challenges, whether it's supply chain, whether it's how you have to interact with your consumers, how the process has to be delivered. Everything has to be standardized, well defined, and you need to have a process to even train your franchisees on this. If you lag on this, then trust me, today or tomorrow, your business would suffer from this. Scalability, scale to markets, and best that achieved. So obviously, sometimes we've also seen companies try to scale randomly. They just go to every market. But we feel that sometimes businesses need to do a cluster approach where you should try to build a meaningful business in one particular cluster and then try to replicate the same success in different cities. This also helps you in consolidating your business, and also you can bring in tighter control on your franchise partners. Then we have AIR, which is attractiveness, investor readiness, and risk hedging. So attractiveness, how brand is perfect on other investments alternatives. What we're trying to say is that today attractiveness from the financial perspective, if let's say your business can be started in 20 lakh rupees or 1 CR, why would an investor invest with you and would not invest in any other business or in any other alternative business? So how attractive is your ROI? How attractive or how much conviction your business model has? So we have to have an attractiveness in your business model. Investor readiness from the short term and a long term performance. Again, very, very important. Investors would want to look at both the goals, the short term goals and the long term goals. So how beautifully your business model is addressing both of these queries to the potential franchise buyers would depend on the numbers which you showcase him. Risk hedge. How do you demonstrate the risk control? See, a lot of this as per me is one of the biggest a parameter for a make or a break of a franchise deal. If you can demonstrate in your business model that how you are, controlling the risk of the potential franchise partner, then I think a lot of people would gain and would want to take up a franchise. I have seen people getting less ROI, little less margin, but if their investments are secure and the potential franchisor is able to demonstrate that the risk of the capital which they're deploying with them is almost zero, then the franchise deals goes, and people like these businesses. So I think we have to be very, very careful when we are trying to demonstrate the risk hedging, because people have a lot of questions across the risk. Third is triple C, which is control, compliance, and consumer connect. Very, very important. Controls. How do you bring maximum controls on operations, quality, and consumer experience? If you don't have systems, you will never be able to bring control. So you need to have audit mechanisms. You need to have IT. You need to have other mechanisms to control your franchise partners, even remotely. Compliance manages franchisees to comply complete on taxation. So we've seen, sometimes franchise partners are not compliant. They don't give, taxes are not being done on time. Other licenses are not being taken. Ultimately, it brings a lot of bad names to the franchisor. Consumer connect, last mile consumer experience has to be consistent. Very, very important. Today, let's say you have 10 franchise or 100 franchise. And if you don't have a mechanism to connect to the consumers who are coming into your franchise store, it will become a problem, because you are then only relying on the information which a potential franchise partner is giving to you. You will never have the right information. You will always have a second-hand information which a potential franchise partner is telling you. In order to take control on your entire franchise network, you need to be connected to each and every consumer who's walking into your franchise company store. And this can only be achieved seamlessly through various IT, where you can be, directly be in control of the entire franchise consumers who are coming in. Then we have ERR. We've also seen a lot of companies who've been able to, do good franchising, but lack on this ER, which is encourage, recognize, and reward your franchise partners. See, you need to have a encouragement program. where there has to be a fair reporting and encourage performance. You need to have a way to encourage your performances of your franchise partner. It helps them motivate. Recognize franchise terms, incentives, monthly achievements of targets. If you don't incentivize your franchisees, they will never be able to perform what they have been doing. They will never be able to perform, outperform. And for them to outperform, you always need to give them this sugar that, there is always an incentive. So whatever they are earning, there is much more in the store. And then rewards, which is annual awards, exceptional performance. You need to have an annual get together, recognize these people, talk about your growth plans, and tell them that how company has been moving, what have you done. Our chairman says that franchising is a careful organization designed to attract ongoing investment and build sustainability in the network. Next slide, please. This is our one slide which we've put in, which is about our core services. Largely, if you understand, these are divided into 5 baskets. What we do first is our advisory services. In the advisory services, this is the services where we help you in putting your entire franchise business model in place. In this, there are 5 elements where we work with you. First and the foremost is the strategy part, which is more about creating a franchise business model. In the strategy, we understand first is why would someone invest X amount of money with you? What locations you would do? What kind of franchise model is best fitted for your organization? Is it a franchise-owned, franchise-operated model? Is it a franchise-invested, company-operated model? Area franchise, master franchise? What fits best for you? Then we work on your financial model, which is to understand what is going to be your franchise fee, how much investment a potential franchise should do, what kind of ROI we can expect, what is the break-even point, how attractive the financial model can be. Then your legal draft, your legal agreement between you and the franchise partner, we help you in creating that. Your marketing kit, your flyer, brochure, your training manuals. So all of this is in the advisory services. Then we also have second service, which is brand communication. We help you in your branding, PR strategy. So this is very, very critical today. Businesses which are presented well are being accepted well in the market. Third is lead generation. We have a scientific and a cost-effective way to qualify leads. So there are various mediums for lead generations. We have largest database of investors. We do 300 franchise show. We do webinars. We promote you through social media, print. If you talk about it, we have our own magazine. We have our newspaper ads. So all these mediums we use to reach out to potential franchise buyers. Then we also help you with lead management. We have almost about presence in almost about 100 cities. So if there is any lead which has been generated from any part, we put our local people. They can filter, due diligence, build credibility, conviction. And finally, franchise selection. There are 4 fits to find that whether he is the right potential franchise partner or not. Largely, this is called SOMF. So S stands for strategic fit, O stands for operational fit, M stands for marketing fit, and SOMF, yes, and F stands for financial fit. So out of all these 4 fits, one should be in dominance. For example, let's say you are a jewelry business, right? So you need a financial fit because there is a lot of investment which would go in. Like say for Tanishq, for Kalyan, you need to invest about 45 CR. So in this case, you need a financial fit. Let's say you are operationally heavy business, so you need a strategic fit or an operational fit. So accordingly, you can understand out of these 4 fits, one has to be in dominance to find the right potential franchise partner. Next, please. So these are our services, and I think Ram and Ashok can share this. Ram and Isha can share this with you in detail. We have 4 programs, largely Fran Start, Fran Grow, Fran Excel, and Fran Max. We can share this with you, and you can largely see our deliverables. We help you right from building your franchise business model to marketing and closing the deal. Next, please. These are more value-added services which we have. We have a Fran Property division. We also help you in finding property, franchise financials, financing. We also help you in loaning your potential franchise partners. Francorp is more from an auditing process. Then we have a legal team, and then we also have a recruitment team. Thank you. Next, please. Yeah, thank you. Next. So, yeah, Ram, thank you. We can stop this. So thank you, friends. Thank you for attending the webinar. Hope we were able to give you some insights on franchising. And we are more than happy to have one-on-one meeting with you and give you more understanding on your business. And we can help you in understanding some case studies, what we've done, at what stage companies have started with us, at what stage they have reached, how effectively they have used franchising to scale their business. And trust me, 45% we work with mid-market players and startups. And these are very, very small companies who started with us and they used franchising effectively. We've also worked with, bigger companies like Reliance, Tata, and all of them, but we have a mixed experience. So reach out to Ram and Isha, and we are more than happy to have a 35 minutes call with you to understand your business and advise you better. Thank you so much. Thank you. If there is anything, we are open for question sessions. Any questions which is there, you can ask on the Q&A box. Otherwise, Ram and Isha will personally get in touch with you and we can have one round of call.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ram. Thank you, Isha. Thank you all. We look forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.